Let's get rolling, motherfucker. Shit. Here we go. You want action or drama or big booty mamas? How about a movie with a stupid fucking llama? How about Bravo? They cover movies and shit for you. 6 degrees of film degrees, what you gonna do about it? 6 degrees of film degrees, what you gonna do?
Okay, so since now we kind of know the synopsis of this film a little bit, I do want to get into the true crime side of things.
Hold on.
Fun facts by Tessa.
Yeah. It
you, Ren.
is fun facts. Thank you, Ren. We love you.
One more time.
Fun facts by Tessa.
God, I feel like an annoying radio show. And now it's time for
Fun facts by Tessa.
All right.
All right.
Our next caller is
So,
S1Ep3.5.
motherfucker, shut up. I'm trying to talk.
Do we need to take the buttons away?
S1Ep3.5.
Okay, I'm done.
Fucking A, I got a story to tell. All right. So, the true crime side of things, part of why I love this film, but I think it's important to bring this to the front because I don't know if everybody knows this. I don't know if everybody knows that it was based on a true story and, you know, what actually happened. So, I'm going to go into that for a little bit. Bear with me, okay? But we're going to tell you the real story. According to an article written in 2021 for the True Crime Edition website, Martin McDonough saw the real-life hand-painted signs along the side of I-10 in Vidor, Texas. The father who painted those signs was James Fulton. So in the real story, it was a father who was painting the signs, putting those up. James' daughter was murdered in May of 1991, and her killer was never charged. No one was ever charged in this case. So very similar to the unsolved case in 3 Billboards.
That's why I started with the Unsolved Mysteries guy.
Okay. So James' daughter name was Kathy Page. She was 34 at the time of her murder, and Kathy had recently separated from her husband. I think they were together for many years. They had kids together. It was said to be an amicable separation. At least that's what, she was telling her friends and family. And basically, Kathy was going on a date the night that she was killed. However, she did not tell her ex-husband about this when he came over to watch the kids. She basically told him she was going out with a girlfriend. So, yes, it was amicable, but she was still hiding the fact that she was going on a date that night. All right. But he was coming over. He just lived down the road because he wanted to be close to their kids. So he came over to watch the kids so she could go out. So her ex-husband came over. His name is Steve, by the way.
Steven?
Steve is her ex-husband.
My lisp is gone. Anyway, sorry, different movie.
Kathy was supposed to meet her date at his hotel that he was staying in that was in Beaumont, just a few miles away from her home. So she left her house around 11 p.m. in her own car, which I think is kind of late, but also I read that she literally just put the kids to bed and her ex-husband kind of just sat up and stayed there. So
those kids ain't gonna wake up. I'm still drinking.
Yeah, yep. She's like, all right, I'm out. Bye. So
You got any cocaine?
So she goes out and she goes to Beaumont. She's meeting this gentleman at a hotel, but her ex-husband seemingly doesn't know about it. At 5 a.m. the next morning.
Oh, that's a bit late. What a bitch.
Well, I want to know who the fuck is this a first date, second date? Who the fuck is like, let's go on a date and let's go to a hotel?
So from what I read, I think no. From what I read, I think it was someone that she had known in the past, and they were in town.
Oh,
okay.
So something kind of like that. That was just from
premarital boning. Now
post-marital boning.
Well, it was pre,
Sinner.
now post.
Yes.
what a sinner.
And so at 5 a.m. the next morning is when Kathy was found dead in the driver's seat of her car, which was sitting in a ditch just 100 yards from her house.
Ouch.
Yeah, so she was found just sitting in the car, dead.
And it wasn't her date?
There was no one else in the car with her.
I know, but I'm saying, like, the date wasn't the obvious pointing finger to who killed her?
Well, I mean, obviously they have to check him out, plus the ex-husband, plus family members.
Right.
Drop your pants. We're checking your butthole.
At first, they thought it was
Toy car up
an
there.
accident. They just thought it was a car accident. Like, oh, maybe she was having too much to drink. She drove off the road, whatever. But then once the detectives got to the crime scene, they agreed that Kathy had unfortunately been met with foul play. So they concluded that Kathy Page was not killed in her vehicle at all. She was killed at another location, cleaned up, redressed, and placed back in her vehicle.
Your constant Dateline. I'm pretty sure I saw an episode of this while you were sleeping.
Oh my God. Did I miss that one?
I think so. This sounds super familiar.
Did they talk about the billboards?
I don't remember because usually when you start snoring, I'm upstairs on the computer.
Sometimes I fall asleep while watching Dateline.
No, it's okay. It's a long work day. You come home, turn it on. I get home.
It's
and
because
then
I've seen most of the episodes.
But not this one.
It's like binging
Apparently not
Seinfeld.
this one.
Every once in a while, you find an episode you haven't seen.
Yeah.
How did I miss
Dude,
this one?
totally.
Like I thought
Like
I
shows
saw it
I've
all.
rewatched a bunch,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's just like, is
God.
this the unicorn that
Right.
I've never seen?
Right.
Or did my brain barge just overflow and I completely forgot that this existed? I don't know. All right. Well, now I'm going to have to go search through all the episodes of Dateline after.
It sounds super familiar. Or maybe there's numerous situations where somebody was just like, I'm going to put her back in her car. They'll never know.
I mean, it's weird. There's some really strange things that go on. But basically what I just read to you, that she was placed back in her vehicle and after the vehicle had been rolled into the ditch.
Rolled
So
into...
there was no damage on the car
Oh,
itself.
you mean like they put a neutral and
Yeah.
pushed
They
her?
just
Oh,
pushed her.
gotcha.
I was thinking like rolled, like
No,
the car rolled.
like-
and-
Like they parked it at
The
the edge. They're
tires
like, "All right,
rolled it
Gus,
into the
let's
ditch.
push this over.
All right, Gus.
Yeah. So
Come on, Biff.
it was literally like someone pushed the car into the ditch with her in it, and that's where it lay.
Wild.
So, and the detective on the case, his name was Ray Mosley. So Detective Mosley walked up the road to Kathy's house because, again, this was only 100 yards away from her house, where Steve was still babysitting and told Steve that Kathy had been found dead. Mosley noted that Steve's reaction was a bit off, if you will. Steve also looked down the road toward where the car was when he told him. How was he going to know that the car was that way? He looked in the exact direction of where the car was sitting when he said that Kathy was dead.
You know, that could
It's a little
just
odd.
be it is odd, but it could just be coincidence. This is what
There's so many variables.
circumstantial evidence.
Yeah,
you know, you
big
can't
time.
you can't convict somebody of murder because he looked in the direction of the
Right,
fucking body,
Right,
you know?
right. Trust me, there's
So
more.
I understand that it's super fishy. Don't get me wrong, but
And it's another one of the things like when people say, "Oh, they were acting strange." You don't know how you're going to act in that moment.
right.
Right.
I mean, if someone just comes to your door and tells you your wife is dead and she went in that general direction, would you glance in that general direction?
Probably.
I mean, you're leaving the house. You probably go a certain way, and he
I'd be
knows
going
which way you
upstairs,
went.
getting my gun and be like, "Where is he?"
Yeah.
Or she. Can't discriminate.
Yep. So
I'll kill a motherfucker.
when Kathy's autopsy was done, it showed that she had in fact been strangled and her nose had been broken. There was blood in her underwear, and it was confirmed she'd been sexually assaulted by someone who had had a vasectomy because there was no sperm in the semen that was left
that's
inside
a good
her.
detail. That is very specific.
Very, very specific. And again,
which one of you got the sneep? Huh?
she was in fact she was killed elsewhere, and she was cleaned, like washed, and reclothed, and then placed in the car. And they noted this because, I mean, she left the house and her date did see her wearing a full face of makeup, a whole bunch of jewelry, very nice clothing. And when she was found, her face was clean, completely clean and washed. All of her jewelry had been removed. And her friends noted, this was her nightly routine. She would have gone home, washed her face, brushed her teeth, taken off her rings, bracelets, earrings, and changed into different clothing.
She did go to a hotel though.
She did.
Was there like an overnight bag or anything?
I didn't say. Didn't say.
Nothing? Like
Although I will
toothbrush?
note that her date, the gentleman that she was going to see in the hotel, he was cleared. He said that Kathy left his hotel room at about 2:30 a.m. and she left in nice clothes, jewelry, full face of makeup.
The works.
Yeah, I mean, she she came dressed for a date at a hotel, and she left like she was dressed for a date at a hotel.
Yeah, she had to keep up the facade for the ex-husband.
Yeah, I mean, she wanted to
that's
return
true.
home looking like
The way
she had
she
gone
left,
out with
yeah.
girlfriends. So,
Bitch.
obviously she didn't want to change anything about her appearance. But yeah, she was found with a bare, washed, clean face and no jewelry, no socks, just in the clothes that she had been wearing.
Mm-hmm.
And also her date did pass a polygraph test. Now we all know that's can't be used in court, blah, blah, blah. However, it's a detail. So he did pass the polygraph test and the police did ultimately clear him. But 2 days after Kathy's death, her husband, Steve, was finally questioned. So, which is odd because usually they look at the husband first, right? Like the husband did it.
It could have been just the circumstances itself, the fact that she
Yeah.
was known out with that person.
That's true. So they went first to her date because that they think is the last person who saw her alive. Then they go to the husband 2 days later. And he stated that he and Kathy had sex that night before she went on her date. And Steve had a vasectomy a few months earlier.
But so she had sex with 2 different men that night
That's what
already? And technically
he's-
3?
Well, we don't know if she had sex with her date. We do know that there was some kind of penetration because there was semen with no sperm. So someone, whether it was consensual or not, left that there.
I guess that's where the variable of that could be still just there from her ex-husband.
And so that's what he's saying. He's like, no. We fucked before she went on this date. Like, we
Right.
boned, and then she was going out with her girlfriends. That's exactly what happened. And that explains why my semen was found inside her. But there was also blood in her underwear, so it seemed like it was an aggressive act.
Right. I could see why this is unsolved. There's way too many
So,
variables.
Right.
yeah. Kathy had actually recently asked for a divorce after 10 years of marriage to Steve, and Steve had moved out just a few days before Kathy was murdered. Like I said, he was living nearby to just stay around the children. Of course, he was named a prime suspect, but he claimed to be innocent and was never arrested. Never. No one actually was ever arrested for Kathy's murder, and which leads us to her father. Kathy's father, James Fulton, believed the police were actually helping cover for Steve because he had many friends, lifelong friends, who were on the police force. And so he was pissed, obviously. So James began painting signs to place along the road, and he hoped to push the police to further investigate his daughter's case. So, for instance, one of the things that was posted on one of his billboards was Steve Page brutally murdered his wife in 1991. Vidor PD does not want to solve this case. I believe they took a bribe. The attorney general should investigate. And those were what some of his signs said. So, following the billboard creation, Steve, the ex-husband, left Vidor and moved to Houston in 1995. Steve was eventually found financially liable for his wife's death and was ordered to pay $200,000 to her family. He was also found guilty of repeatedly vandalizing Kathy's grave. The police investigation was ultimately known as flawed from the beginning, and the warrant to search Kathy's home wasn't issued until 3 years after her murder, which is some bullshit.
Right.
3 years to search the home where your prime suspect was the night of the murder? What the fuck is wrong with you?
You need to jump on that the moment
Like, what?
that you
Right.
find out about it.
In what
That's
fresh
small,
hell?
That's like small town PD though for you.
Yes.
Very true.
It's gonna be lazy. They're used to pretty much nothing happening.
Yeah.
They get to flex their guns and badges. That's about it. And then when they actually have to do the stuff that they're trained for, they're like, I don't want to do that.
And there was a lot of talk of, like, well, he's been lifelong friends with so-and-so and so-and-so who are on the police department, so maybe that's how he got the pass to not have the home searched. Who knows? But yeah, it was not searched until 3 years after her murder. Like, that's some fucked up shit right there.
Right.
But basically, yeah, the case is still unsolved. There is currently a $6,000 reward for any information on Kathy Page's murder. And anybody who knows anything can call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-252-TIPS. And also, I just want to note that her father, James Fulton, has spent over $200,000 on the billboards next to Interstate 10.
God damn.
And in 2018, he stated that he has no plans to remove them anytime soon. So I'd be interested to hear from anybody in Texas if if you've seen these, if you know anything about the billboards, let us know, because I'm interested.
Yeah, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, once we get them running up.
Twitter, Patreon.
We'll have a Gmail.
Yeah.
Ben's OnlyFans.
Yes. It's
Baller on a budget.
I can tell. Bitch. You can't afford me.
You're right.
Anyway, 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
So there you go. So that's a little bit of background on the actual case and where this movie came from.